Okay, let's get ready to go. First of all, I want to just talk about what we're going to address today. And everybody's looking for referrals. Everybody's looking for how they can, you perform online marketing services for somebody. How does that get you referrals? Now, obviously, you can, your client is out there, and they could be talking about what your services did for you, or for them. I'm sorry, what your services did for them, and it's just like that's great. But at a dinner party, how do you pull up? Hey, how are you doing? I've got a really great SEO and web design guy. It's not really something that comes up. And you can encourage people. You can give them like, hey, if you refer someone to me, I'll give you a discount or whatever like that. But I want to show you a way that some of our top resellers or top sales partners are really getting referrals. And surprisingly enough, it's from web design. Because what I found, and I've had a lot of calls this week with a lot of different sales partners from all over the world, and one of the things that's really becoming obvious is the sales partners that use web design services, whether it's our services or they do it themselves. It doesn't matter. If you use our web design, hey, I love you for it. If you do your own, that's great too. But let me tell you what it is. You do a great web design and you do a website for somebody. They shout from the rooftops about, hey, have you checked out my new website, right? I mean, they're really promoting it. We promote it for them. They really promote it to their friends and their family, and they're really like trying to get people to look at it and make comments about it. And it's something that they're very, very proud of. And this is where the unsolicited referrals come in. Okay, because you can go in and do somebody's, SEO or online marketing or Facebook marketing or however you want to pay PPC, and you're not going to get many people who are going to call up your client and say, wow, I saw this great Facebook post. Who does your social media marketing? Or, hey, I see that you're raising, you rose in the rankings to the first page of Google. Congrats. Who's your SEO guy? No one's going to do that, right? But what they do is when they see somebody's website and they look at their own and they say, wow, that is an awesome website. Who did that for you? That's where you're going to get these calls from people who are like, hey, this is beautiful work. My business needs a website. Who do you use? Okay? And so if you haven't decided to put, a lot of people out there, they're just concentrating on selling online marketing services, and they don't want to mess with the web design too much, or they just have never done it, because it's in the past they tried it. I talked to somebody this week. Reed was talking. One of my sales partners was telling me that I used to do web design 4 years ago, but it's so tedious and it's such a it's so much work just to work with the client to get it right. And I agree with you. That can be true. But we do have a solution for you, okay? Before we do that and we get into like what we can do, I want to introduce Steven, and he's one of our sales partners. And real quick, let me get Steven's audio up. Just 1 second. Just bear with me. We'll make sure that there's Steven. Let's get his audio on. Okay. So Steven, all right. So great. Steven, it's great to have you on at such short notice. We just contacted Steven probably just a few hours ago, right, when Judy reached out to you, because you were fresh on my mind from our discussion last week, and on the clients you were going after when we talked, and I just wanted to have you on because this is so timely, and it really reflects a lot of what you do. So let me introduce Steven. He's been a partner since 2012, and he's got a background of commercial photography. Is your main market focus is what is your main market focus, Stephen?
Well, it's healthcare, so anything that does with healthcare, but I do other stuff as well. I do attorneys and so on and so forth, but I do those because I've gotten referrals for those type of things. But right now I'm really focusing on healthcare. I feel that that's a great market.
And on the past webinars, we've really been talking a lot about picking a niche and sticking with a niche, but how it can bring you those other referrals. I mean, you're focused on healthcare, but you definitely take anybody and everybody who's willing to buy your services, correct?
Huh, you bet.
Yeah, of course. So I know it's kind of a silly question, right?
That's
so
right.
you do web design, and you work with our web design team, and as well you do sell SEO services, and you're a brand optimization member, correct?
That's correct.
Could you tell us a little bit how you got started in the business? I know that you joined Endless Rise in 2012, and you've stuck with us through the acquisition of Endless Rise. Tell us a little bit about your history with us.
Sure. Excuse me. The way I started out in this is that commercial photography. I did a lot of advertising type of photography where we took photographs of models and room sets and all that type of stuff for advertising. And that industry is another industry that's kind of suffered through other industries that have suffered because of globalization and mainly stock photography that's available, all the stuff that's available today. And so I was looking to do something different. And at first I started out, thinking about internet marketing and, selling whatever I could online just to see how it would work. And the next thing that I did was I said, well, you know what, I'm going to go, I've always liked working with websites, but I want to learn a little bit more. So I went back to school and got a web development certification and started out on my own. And I thought, deja vu, when I first started out with my studio, I would have to go out and sell this stuff. And then after I sold it, I'd have to do it. And it's like this huge up and down and up and down. And I thought, this is really crazy. So I came across Endless Rise, and I thought, well, you know what? I'm going to give these guys a try. And, I really liked the way that Endless Rise was put together and the whole idea of their psychology and how they wanted to work with partners. And I thought, this could really be something, so I'm going to give this a shot. So I did, and and it has worked out, well. I mean, a lot of my business primarily was focused on web design, and then I started, moving into doing like SEO and other things because I learned the benefit of that residual. I mean, that's really a powerful thing. And then when the change came in and the accident happened with Paul, and all of those things went through, and I went, this is scary. This is scary because, like what's going to happen to my business that I have really hung my hat on Endless Rise. And Jonathan reached out to me, which I'm grateful for, told me all of the stuff that he was planning on doing. I says, this sounds really good. I'm going to stick this out and find out where this goes. And I am so glad that I did, because I think that Jonathan has done just a fabulous job bringing the company around, bringing some of the new services that are on, and really bringing the whole company back into focus. So thank you for that, Jonathan.
Oh, well, I mean, I appreciate those. It's very kind words. But, we wouldn't be the staff, the former staff, but the same staff of Endless Rise, we wouldn't all be here if all of our partners hadn't stuck with us. And we without a doubt, we had definitely hit a rough patch. It was definitely hard for us to come in and pick up and move. But we're making strides every day, and it's really because of all of you guys. And so from our staff, to you guys, you're the ones that make it happen for us. Because if you weren't out there selling, we don't have anything to fulfill. So I really appreciate that, Stephen. And it's great when you see partners that have been with us for so long, and it makes our staff who've been here from the beginning. Because remember, most of our staff has been with the company since 2012. I mean, you can't believe that our average of our people with the company is around 4 years, which is fantastic. For a company that's really just celebrating, Endless Rise celebrating its 7th year in business just here last month. So we appreciate that. When did you first land your first web design client? I mean, how long have you been designing or in this business before when you were with Endless Rise? When was that, and how did you do it?
Well, the way that I did it was I developed a relationship with a partner that was in the business, and I said, look, I can, I know that you like to do social media. Well, I can build websites. Let me build your websites for you. And what I can do is I can pay you a commission for every website that I build for you. And so we should give this a try as a business model. And so that's what we did. And of course, that person has been with me ever since, really. And they bring work to me, and then I take it over and build their websites. Now, sometimes they don't want to have, since they do social media, they just want me to build the website, I'm okay with that. But I've developed other relationships with partners where they want me to do the whole thing. And that's really where I want to be and where I want to stay, because the reality is that you really need the residual business in order to support the website business. But in my estimation, the website really has to come first. And the reason that I like doing websites so much is because, just like what you were saying, Jonathan, is that it's tangible. It's something that people can actually feel that it's real, that it's there. I mean, you can't feel SEO, you can't feel pay-per-click, you can't feel the other services. They seem abstract in a client's mind, but a website is like, this is mine. And they really become proud of it, and it really helps to build the relationship with the client when you go through the process. So I look at, when you're building a website for someone, you are building a long-term relationship. Now, my experience has been is that once you get through that initial building stage, is that that client is not pestering you all the time. They trust you, and they won't leave. And then, like when you're working on like a SEO project with them or whatever it is, then you're going to touch base with them and let them know that you're still out there. But they're not going to be exhausting all of your time. So it does slow down, because let's face it, these are business people and they want to do their business. And so they end up doing their own business, and you stay in there. You're just part of their team.
Awesome. Guys, I see your questions coming through, and we'll get to those toward the end. Let's go through the interview, and then we'll definitely come back around to your questions. And I do apologize if my cursor moves around your screen. It's because I'm using the software. You can't see what I see. You just see my cursor moving, so I apologize for the distraction on that. Okay, so how do you get, Stephen, how do you get referrals from your web design client? and I know this just happens to you because we talked about it. How does this usually happen with you?
Well, what ends up happening is that I'll either get a call directly from somebody out of the blue saying, hey, so-and-so, recommended you to me, and it's usually like in the form of an email. And I'd like to learn more about you and see if there's, what you have to offer. So then I respond back, with them with an email, so sure, I'd be happy to, explain what we do. And, if they haven't told me, I'll say, where did you hear me from? And you just start the conversation. Mm-hmm. And the way that it revolves is that, first of all, the thing that happens with the client is that you go back and forth with this email communication, for a while. And then you finally get to the point where you say, can I call you? And then you have that actual conversation over the phone. And then from that point, it's like, okay, let's have a face-to-face meeting. And, and then that way, let me put some proposals together, and then let me come in and show you what we're about and who we are. Then I do the face-to-face, and on every face-to-face, there's two things that are on my mind. When is my next meeting, and what is your budget? And those are the two things that I am trying to fish for. And I listen to them, and it's so true. You just say, tell me about your business, and they just spill their guts, and they just go on and on and on about their business, and they give you a lot of information. And so the way that I approach how do I figure out what their budget is, the first thing that I say is, let me ask you a question, Mr. Client. Do you think that $2,000 a month is something that you feel that you can handle? And then they'll say yes, or they'll say no, or whatever. And I kind of like get that number from the feel of what they're telling me. And if they say no, they say, well, no, I'm really better off like at 1,000. And so then I said, okay, now I've got a budget in order to work with. Now, the other thing that I want to focus on is, of course, the website. And just to let everyone know, what you want to look for is that if the website's not mobile friendly, that's a clue that they need a website. If it doesn't have a blog, that's a big clue that it doesn't need a website. Because what I want to do is I want to go in and I want to sell them not only a website, but I also want to tell them, we got to let the world see this, so we need a marketing package to go with it. And try to explain to them, this is your annual budget, not just your website budget.
I see. Okay. Do you judge it based on their gross income? I mean, do you look at it like, okay, you guys are bringing in $500,000 a year, or you're just kind of judging it just from the general conversation and throw out a number, 2,000, 3,000 a month, 5,000. Where do you kind of get that? Is it just from feel?
I just want to get a number. I just want to throw something out and get a reaction.
I see. Okay. Okay. So when you sell the say you make your sale, and now it's time to manage the campaign. Some people have project managers, some people don't. How do you manage the campaigns for your company?
Well, primarily I manage the campaign initially, mainly because I like to have the interaction with the client, and that gives us an opportunity to actually know each other. And at a certain point, I might turn it over to the done-for-you project management, depending upon really how the campaign is going. So it's an option that you have out there, but it just depends. If the client is if it has a lot of potential to be a large client, then I'm going to be a lot more hands-on.
Right. Okay. That makes sense. Obviously, you want to build that personal relationship, while you're working with them, correct?
Right, right.
So
And
that was my next. Oh, go ahead. Sorry, Stephen. Go ahead.
I was just going to say that, like, a lot of my communication with the client is usually email or texting, and then when it gets a little more complicated, then it becomes a phone call. So, it's
I
not
see.
like I'm spending a lot of time in their office. They're asking me questions. Is this what you think we should do? And I go, well, let's try this. Maybe this would be better, or whatever.
Okay. Okay. I guess your last answer was, do you use the done-for-you project management that we offer with the web design?
It would depend on the client. So I like the whole idea, of being able to do that. I've actually went ahead and put the e-commerce site up, for the starter package. And for
Right.
that, I would definitely use the done-for-you project management. I haven't got any traction on that yet, but I haven't really pushed it as hard as I should.
Okay. Okay. What's your, what has been your experience with the staff that you work with the web design? I mean, when you go through a project, how much time, I guess, for the people out there who have never done a web design project, I mean, how many hours are you really looking at on a project, just a regular, like I'm going to do this attorney site, it's 5 to 10 pages. How much time are you actually spending on that, depending on the interaction with the client, also interaction with our office? I know that's a tough question, but just trying to get a feel for it so people understand.
Well, I think that when you start getting involved with the project, the things that you want to do is you want to kind of steer the client with their expectations as to, like, what are they really expecting, in order to happen. I think that's very important. And you want to be able to actually tell them, really clear expectations so there's no surprises. That's the worst thing that can possibly happen during the course of trying to develop a project. And if you do that correctly, things go pretty smooth and you won't spend as much time as what you think on the project. So, for example, is that, when we're sitting there and they're saying, well, I want to get this up in 3 weeks. And I say, well, we can do that, but there's an additional charge for that. And then that really says, okay, well, do they really want to do that? And I always tell them, I said, look, this is an important step for your business. And when you build a house, you want to make sure it's right. Well, that goes the same here. This is a property just like a house, and we want to make sure that everything's right. So we want to make sure that we make these decisions correctly and that you become successful, and that's going to be your key to success. And I always, always, always say, look, the difference between a good website and a bad website is the images. Images is what sells. So every time that I do a website, I want to make sure that they've got the best possible images that really represent them. So if they have a picture of themselves and it's just a selfie, like the one of me that I just took this morning,
Right.
I'm going, no, you need to go and get a professional photographer to take a professional image, because if you're selling yourself, that's got to be a great image.
Right. And that goes, I mean, obviously working with attorneys and things like that, that's very crucial. But so your suggestion is not to use these stock images. You look for, images to be supplied by the customer or the client, or you help them, get those images that really fit the site.
And the best way that I've found that it works is, of course, to use the stock images. And I like working with an attorney. I'm like, I understand that you're selling yourself, but you're also selling a service. And if you're selling multiple services, you need a representation of a compelling image on each one of those services. So if you have like a slider that's going to show like personal injury, okay, what does that image look like? You know, or if it's Social Security disability, what's that going to look like? And so on. And because otherwise, you know, that's really the best way for them to sell their services, which makes it easy to navigate to get more information by clicking on the image or the box or the, you know, more information, and then it takes them in and you can tell more of the story, you know, why they should contact you. And of course, you know, you always want to have a point where you're asking for the business for the client.
The call to action is so important. I mean, that's the whole point of the website, right?
Absolutely.
So you finished up the website. Now, what do you do next to interact with that client? You know, I know that you keep up with your clients, but what is it in your sales process that, okay, now I finished it, they've signed off on it, thank you very much, you're the proud owner of your new website. What do you do next?
Well, you know, the thing is that it's a little more difficult if you just build the website, what I have found, and then you want to come back in and sell them like an SEO package. That's a little, you know, a little bit of a problem, because in their mind, they're thinking, oh, I'm just buying this website. And so what I try to do is I plant all those seeds at the very beginning that, like, you know, we need to think about this as a year-long project. So you let them know, I'm going to be here for a year for you. And you do that in a way by saying, you know, the whole thing is that we're going to have a new website, but we want to make sure that this works. And there's a lot of different ways that we can do this. And if I can get them to sign off on the idea of having a SEO at the very beginning, then it's a real natural, okay, now it's time to do the SEO or the brand optimization or whatever. And that makes it real smooth, that where you're really sitting there telling them, say, look, you just need to tell these people the truth. You know, you can build the greatest website in the world, but if nobody sees it, what the heck?
Right.
And that's really the bottom line. And, you know, you just have to tell them, look, if you're wanting to get business for this website, then you need to look at the whole package.
Right. Do you use, you know, it's like, look, I'm building the website. It only makes sense for my company to also do the SEO. Does that play into it? I mean, do you use that technique at all?
Actually, I just tell them that, you know, here's our services. Actually, I have I put together like you know, we take like all of our product material, and I have taken that and spiral bounded it into a book where I'm printing on both sides. And
you have to.
right, because it gets so thick. Gets so thick with all that information, and I put tabs in between each services. And I have a color laser printer, and I just print all the stuff, and I take it down to the print shop, and they spiral bound them as I need them, and then I say, here's what we do. And you're showing this book, it's about 1 inch thick, you know, and I say, this is like all the stuff that we do. And wow. It's very impressive, you know, kind of a thing, instead of like firing out a PDF or something like that, which is, you know, not a bad idea. You have to do that in certain situations, but it really has some substance to it. So they know that you're bringing more to the party. You're bringing a total marketing, online marketing strategy to them that starts with the website.
Right. Now, when you sell them the whole package, are you collecting the money all up front, you know, for the whole package on the first, you know, on the first go, or are you financing it out for them? How do you work the sale, that part of the sale?
I actually do it both ways. It depends on the client and where they're coming from. Because some clients, if they're bigger companies, then it's better for them to, like, chop it all off at one time. It makes it easier for them. We have the smaller guy that, like, may not have the total funds to plop it down on the table. What I do is I said, look, let's do the website. As soon as we do the website, look, that'll be paid for. Then the next thing, we'll start the SEO, and look, that's only going to cost you this amount of money to get the startup, for the first month. And then, look, you're only going to be paying, like, what, $800, $1,000 a month after that. You'll be good. It'll make it very easy to, like, do it step by step by step, and that you're not taking so much money out of them at a one time.
So you're presenting the plan. Here's your website. After that, here's our marketing plan for the year, and you're going to pay for the website up front. That's done. It's your house. It's your equity. You've got that. And then lining up. Here's in the subsequent months what we're going to do on your marketing. You line that up in the very beginning, so it's not a surprise when you go to them and say, okay, now it's time to start the SEO. Here you go. Right?
Right. Because what I want to do is I want to plant that annual budget figure in their mind. I want to sit there and I say, okay, for the next year, we're going to spend $15,000 or $12,000 or whatever the amount is, and say, here it is. Now, I also, want to make sure that whatever I propose does actually work, because if you cut it back too small and it doesn't work, well, you've really blown the whole deal.
So let me go back and clarify that. So what you're saying is when you built the website, now you're talking about the marketing end of it, the SEO packaging, or the brand optimization package. If they're in a competitive market, you're going to give them a budget. If they don't want to spend that, and if it's not going to be enough, if it's an attorney and it's in personal injury, and that their budget, they want to pay you $800 a month, that's not going to be enough in a major metropolitan city to spend $800 in such a competitive area. How do you address that with the client?
You just tell them that, like, hey, look, my reputation's on the line, and I'm not going to sell you something that's not going to work. Now, you've already tried this with another supplier, and it's not working. So I would rather walk away and tell you, save your money, than to do something that's not going to work.
Right. I think that's really important, because I think that we all see that. I think Mike in the last one of the last webinars, he was talking about the same thing. If you don't want to spend the money, then I can't really help you type of situation. It's better, to protect your own reputation. That's great, Stephen. Do you just rely on referrals, or what do you do for lead generation?
Well, I use the what is it called? The gold mine. Gold mine. I use the gold mine. Yeah. In fact, I even use that in the sales pitch. It's like, something that really actually works pretty well for me is that, like, say I'm going with an attorney. In order to make my case, I will, like, take everything. I said, look, here's all the people you're competing with, and look at what all these people are paying for pay-per-click. This guy's spending, $12,000 a month on pay-per-click. What are you spending? You're talking about spending, like, maybe $12,000 a year. And I'm saying, like, you got to understand that you are in a competitive market. And if, and it really shocks them when they see, I said, the guy across the street, and here he is, he's cleaning your clock every day, and here's the proof. Because then I show them, like, here's an example of the page. I'll put in, like, whatever they're selling, and I'll say, here it is, and look at that. Number one, the guy across the street is showing up here, and look what he's spending on just pay-per-click alone. You tell me he's not making money?
Right, right.
It's so clear.
That's awesome.
And they always go, man, I got to do something.
Right. So I know you're a referral member, and you use a lot of the tools that are in the back, including the gold mine, just to prepare for your meeting and the pitch. It gives you that ammunition to go in there and say, here's how the competitors are knocking you in the dirt, and if you want to compete, I've got the answer for you, right?
Absolutely, because, the best thing that you can do is not blast out a bunch of emails to try to get business. I really recommend do the research. Learn as much as you can about that potential client and really determine, say, hey, do I really want to work with this person or not? Because maybe you don't. That's what I do, is I try to get as much information as I can. And then that way, it's easier to approach them.
Do you have a sales team?
I have strategic partners that I work with. I haven't gotten to the point to get a sales team just yet, but what I do is I have certain people that I know, like for example in the healthcare industry, I have some pretty high influential people that I say, hey, let's work together, and if we can create a synergy, then we end up working together, and I've been able to do that. And I pay them a straight commission, off of the project. Now this is just, gravy and over the top. And what I do is I usually, on those situations, I mark it up, 200 times or twice.
200%.
Yeah,
right.
200%, and so that it pays for the 15%, and I would still get my markup of 1.5 times.
I see. Okay.
Okay, and it usually
That's
works
great.
out pretty well. So that, because I really want that 1.5 times. That's me.
Right. Right. Well, I mean, the thing is, make sales and keep going, right? I mean, it seems like you've always got something in the pipeline. I mean, how, if I just, how many hours of prospecting or actual sales are you doing per week or per day? What is that for you? How aggressive are you really running it to keep your lifestyle the way that you want it? What do you do with it?
Well, what I try to do is I try to plan out my day. Like, I have to do my project management like in the morning and, get that out of the way. And then what I do is I start doing some research. And then at that point I will, start, at least trying to reach out and make calls. I also try to get out there and network. Network seems to work pretty well for me. And just be around people that I know that might be at least be able to make a recommendation. And so I use a variety of things in order to do that. I'm not too wild on the cold calling. You have to do it, but a lot of times, in order to approach that person, you have to think, okay, how's the best way to approach that person? And I found that one of the best things that you can do is if you can personalize your communication directly to them and say, hey, I looked at this and this is what I discovered, and and I just wanted to bring this to your attention, and not ask them for anything else.
Excuse me, guys. I see. Okay. Cold calling is not for everyone. There's no doubt. That's a tough game. Because these guys do get a lot of calls and they get a lot of emails from all over the world. Philippines included, India, everywhere else, and to set yourself apart. You're doing that just through total personalization. Do you do the research before you've made contact with them, or are like have you kind of zeroed in and spent time on it, or are you looking for just some sort of interest before you spend the time to do the real research on the potential client?
Well, okay, say I'm going after a particular market, and whatever that is like if it's in the healthcare industry, say for example, then what I'm going to do is I'm going to say, okay, who are the players that are out there? And that's where I use the Endless Gold Mine software. And I look at like a particular area. I focus in on a particular geo-target, on a particular category, and find out exactly what's going on. Now I can look at those and I can sit there and I can say, well, here's somebody that's doing marketing. Well, then the other thing that I can do is I can take that and I can say, all right, let's look at it like right on Google and see where they actually are on Google. And when I look at that page, you go, this is the marketplace. When you're sitting there looking at that and you go, well, they're nowhere to be found. This person needs help, or this person needs a website, or this person needs whatever. And then I know how to frame I'm going to approach them. If it's a website, then what I can do is I can approach them by showing them like past work. I can approach them by showing them reviews that I've gotten from other clients. And another thing I can do is if I know that like maybe a client I've had in the past knows who maybe this other person is, then I can ask for a referral. Right. So a lot of different ways.
What are your top selling services? I know for you is definitely web design, and then onto the SEO. Is there anything else out there that you want to throw out that that works for you?
What
do you really sell?
I really like selling pay-per-click.
Yeah.
I think it's a great marriage with SEO, and I always try to introduce that in my to the client. Is it's a website, it's either SEO or brand optimization, or with a pay-per-click, and it's like, hey, and the way that I do the pay-per-click is that, like I always recommend, is let's just do the pay-per-click for 6 months. That's enough time to get it going and rocking. So it's like, let's do that first if they really need something right away and if they have the budget for it. And but like, for example, the attorneys, I only, I tell them, I says, I can't just sell you the pay-per-click because you're not going to spend enough. You need the SEO or the brand optimization to go with it. And then, of course, I always, insist that they do remarketing with their pay-per-click, because, I mean, it's so cheap and it's so effective to really brand that place. It's just like a no-brainer.
Right. I agree, definitely. So it's really you're starting with the website, and it's like an SEO or brand optimization package for their organic traffic, and then PPC. It's the all three is really your approach on. Would you say every client? I mean, pretty much. If they need a website, you're going after everybody just like that.
I am going to try to sell that to everybody that I can talk to, because I know that that's what works. Because the better it works for them, the better they like me, and that's really what I try to focus on.
Of course, definitely. We've kind of already gone through your selling techniques, so I'll skip that question. How do you set the client expectations? Like, how long is this going to take me? What can I expect when I sign the contract with you? What do you generally say to them when you're making the deal?
Well, in terms of a website, I always tell them, I said, look, this can vary a little bit depending upon the complexity of the website. But you can usually probably plan on 6 weeks, maybe even going up to like 2 months before we actually launch, depending upon the complexity. I don't like to sit there and say, oh, I can get you a website in 30 days, because what always ends up happening, I try to make this really clear to the client, is that, hey, now, if all of a sudden we need an approval on something from you, and you take a week or 2 weeks to decide, well, then that 30 days is now grown into 6 weeks, because the clock stops there, is what I tell them. And I said, until you approve it, then we can start that up again.
Right. You can move very quickly, but there's always the client end that takes some time, right? So you're telling them up front, I'm going to be asking you questions. The quicker you get back to me, the quicker your project is going to move.
Exactly, because that's the way it always works.
Right. We spoke about your markup already, and then I guess what advice would you give to those guys that are on the webinar now? Maybe have never done web design at all. What would you throw out there in your experience in working with the company? And Stephen, just kind of lay it out. I mean, what do you think that, how could these guys go to growing to what you're doing? Pay it forward a little bit, I guess. I guess what I'm asking is, what could you give our people?
Well, if you've never talked to Rob or Roy, these guys really want to bend over backwards to help you.
Right. And Rob and Roy are web design consultants that are available. Sorry, Stephen, go ahead.
Yeah, excuse me, just a second. Sorry. Anyhow,
okay. Bless you.
What I would say, oh man, hold on a second.
Okay. So guys, like Rob and Roy are web design consultants. They work. Okay, go ahead, Stephen.
And I'm joking.
Sorry about that. We've got technical difficulties, guys. Our guest is now heading to the hospital. But in the meantime, if you reach out to Rob and Roy, I know what Stephen's going to say about their ability to kind of coach you through it. But let's hear back from Stephen. Are you all right, Stephen?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay.
I'm just barely here. But anyhow, what I wanted to say was that you never know what you're going to run into when you start out with a website. So my advice is that when the client says, I want to do this, and you're going like, I don't know about that because I don't know anything about that, you always say, yeah, let me check that out and see what we can do for you. And then you just take it to one of those guys, whoever you're working with, and you can say, this is what they told me. I don't really understand this. And you just like give it to them, and I say, hey, I just had a thing, today is that like I have a client that wants to sell images online. And so I'm going, Rob, they want to sell images online. They want to use this software. Can we use this? And he goes, well, wait a minute. Let me check that out. Here's what we can do, or here's what we can't do. And then that way you sound like you know exactly everything that there is about web design, because you're saying, no, we can't do that, but here's what we can do. And it makes it so easy to do is that I always use the phrase, well, wait a minute, let me talk to my team about this and we'll see what's the best way to approach that. And then that buys you a little bit of time, and they respond, pretty quickly. So, then you figure out, okay, now what is it going to cost? Well, then they're going to help you out with that as well. So all you have to do is just communicate clearly to those guys of what it is that the client wants. Try to get the information as solid as possible from the client. Then give it to the people at Virtual Group, your consultant, and find out. Then that way, the whole thing comes together, and you look like a hero.
Well, we like that. We love making you look like a hero. That's terrific. Because, guys, Stephen always will talk and he'll say, hey, make sure you tell the team that this project came back and they love their site and we love, making you look good. That's terrific. So I do have a few questions from attendees. And one of the questions from Douglas was, do you host their site?
I always believe very strongly in letting the client own all of their property. And I don't really like hosting a client's site because the little bit of money that you might actually make off of it just doesn't seem to be worth the hassle of doing it.
Right. Okay, so the sites that we build, we offer 1 year free hosting. Do you use that, or you tell them to move their hosting to someone else, or do you just let us host it? What do you usually do with that?
No, I just let you guys host it in that particular situation. I just let that go. And then, I have had a couple of issues where the next year has come by and the client's going, oh, what's this? And so that's always a little bit of a problem. So it's really good to make that clear up front that, like, hey, this is a free year and we need a credit card that will automatically deduct in a year. And I think that, like, if you set it up that you can send them an email 30 days out and then 2 weeks out that this is going to happen, it makes it a little bit easier.
Yeah, we find that ourselves because, we always, on all of our web design builds, we offer 1 year free hosting, or we'll move it to they choose. But, everyone remembers that at the time, like, oh, cool, it's not another expense. But a year later, you get an invoice for, $60 from us for the year, which is extremely low, I think. And people are like, hey, what's this $60? So I feel for you on that one.
Yeah.
So let's see here. What industries are your best or favorite clients in? Is it healthcare?
Healthcare, yeah.
Health. Okay. Let's see. Are most of the sites that you do all in WordPress?
Absolutely.
Okay. Yeah, that was a question. Okay. The contracts you use, are they in yearly with monthly payments where they can they get out of it? How do you enforce your contracts is a question.
Well, with the contract, what I do is, in terms of the marketing, is that I like to tell them that it's a year-long process that we're going through, but it's month to month. And at any time that they're not satisfied with the service and want to make a change, I need a 30-day written, release, or that they want to make a change, and then so that we have time in order to wind the project down, and then they can leave if they like.
Okay. Larry asks, how is your business structured? Is it a sole proprietorship? Is it LLC, a corporation? How are you structured yourself?
It's a LLC.
LLC, okay.
One of the things that I want to add here real quick before the time gets away is that the way that I work, and this picture is me in my home office, which is actually in my basement. And that's what I primarily work out of. But I also have a virtual office. And this is like a tip that other people can use, is that you have to think about it in terms of where I'm actually physically located in my house is not the greatest market in the world. And if that's what I would use for my business address, then my business is going to suffer online. But if you have a virtual office in, like mine is in like the heart of the business district, in the best street in the city, in the high rise that everybody wants to be in, and it only it's very inexpensive in order to do it. You know, it's like $100 a month, and you get an address, and that gives you better SEO on your own site. And I've even like told clients, I said, look, you want to get more business? Well, look where you're working out of your house. There's where you're working out of. Get yourself a virtual office. And I think that would really help. Now, like for example, I have a meeting with a client tomorrow in order to seal the deal. So what I did was, like in our last meeting, I said, okay, now let's schedule our next meeting. Where do you want to meet? Your office or mine? They said, well, let's meet at your office. So what time? So we'll be there at 11. I said, great, I'll have lunch. So I'm having lunch brought in. They're gonna walk into my office, got the whole floor, and there's gonna be a receptionist right there. She's gonna take the lunch orders. They're gonna take us back into the conference room. We're gonna have like a big screen with the computer up and everything, and we're gonna go through their whole system, and it's like, you look like $1 million. You look like, man, this is something here. This is like for real. Now, the one thing is that if they would sit there and they'd say, is this a virtual office, or is this, what is the really deal here, if they were suspicious in some way, I would never lie. I would say it proudly. This is my virtual office, and this is such a great deal, let me tell you about it. and say it with pride, and they'll go like, wow.
Well, you're able to keep your costs lower, and by using that sort of thing, right? I mean, this is the day and age where people are located all over the country, all over the world. So the stigma of like not having a full-blown brick-and-mortar office is kind of going away. That hasn't hampered, I know, your sales. That situation hasn't hampered you at all.
No, it's like you can even sit there and say, listen, you're in San Diego. Why don't we meet in my San Diego office?
Right. Nice. I like that. Guys, I know we're at the top of the hour, but we're going to keep going. There's some really good nuggets of gold here. Another question from Sergio is, Stephen, do you sell a maintenance package with your maintenance program with the websites you sell? Do you use that?
Oh, I do. I try to do that as much as I possibly can, because sometimes that's a hard sell up front, but as we get down towards the end and there's like questions about, well, should I do this? I should do this. And I say, look, what really would make a lot of sense for you to do is to buy at least a quarter of the maintenance program right now, and let's make that part of your package, so that when you get this up in like a week or 2 weeks or a month, and you're going, I really wish I had done this. Well, it's going to be a lot cheaper for you to have a maintenance package at that point.
Right, and for those of you on the program, the web maintenance package we sell is very reasonably priced. But what it does is, if you do it for the quarter, it gives you so many hours per month where you can use our web design team to do anything from update to uploading content or photos, whatever you need done, changing colors, whatever you need done on that website, it's covered almost like an insurance policy. So you can, you have it for the client, because there's always those little things, right, Stephen, that come up afterwards, like, oh, let's change this, change that. And you don't want to be billed and dinged every single time for those. So by doing the maintenance package, it kind of covers your butt.
Yeah, it's really a great thing to do. And then, I always tell them, I said, look, after the 90 days comes up, then you can make a decision whether you want to save a bunch of money and buy an annual package, and then try to sell them the annual package at that point.
A question from Terry, and this comes up all the time. Do your clients know that your team is outside the United States?
Here's what I do is I always tell them that we are a global company, and we do production, you know, in offshore, and I specifically actually say Manila, and you know, because I just think that's a good place to do business myself. And you know, I tell them this: look, this is a what is here is this is a sales organization, and we are all partners is the way that it works. So I just explain what the deal is in terms of this. Now, I don't get into some of the nitty-gritty of exactly how that it works, but you know, you have to have an answer, and I've always discovered that the truth is the best answer, because there's a lot of different business models out there. And you know, they asked me, is it a franchise? I said, no, it's a partnership. That's what I do.
Right. I mean, everybody's outsourcing for everything these days. And so I think at this point, to not have outsourcing for some of the things that you do is just, you know, it's irresponsible. It doesn't cause savings for the client. You know, and it's true. It is worldwide. I mean, like our writing team is in the States for American writers, and we've got, you know, our web design guys in Manila. Does it really matter? You know, I mean, I think that's the biggest key. But honesty is the best policy. Let's see here. Do you find, let's see, I'm going through these questions. With the healthcare niche, what type of practices? I mean, are you talking about chiropractors or orthopedic surgeons, senior care? What do you focus on?
All of the above. Anything that has to do with healthcare that people need marketing. Now, that's not absolutely everyone that is in the healthcare industry. You know, it's like chiropractors, cosmetic surgeons, cosmetic dental, you know, all of those guys that are selling services that are not necessarily covered through insurance need to market. And that's what I focus on. Anybody that needs to market or needs to tell their story or you know, whatever it is. So that's normally for-profit type healthcare businesses. You know, like for example, you know, there's like senior care places, and they're marketing all the time. So that's one that I use.
Okay. There's a question. Do you mind revealing what virtual office that you use?
Yeah, it's Regis. Regis.
Okay, use Regis. Okay. Okay, great. Yeah, a lot of people were asking about that. Well, Stephen, I really appreciate you being on the webinar. Guys, if we can just give a shout out to Stephen real quick for taking the hour out of his time, and more actually this morning, to be on the webinar and passing along his stuff. I really appreciate you being on, Stephen. This wasn't planned today to have him on. It's just I've been on this kick about, you know, when we talked last week about how you get the referrals from your website. I'm like, you know what? People need to understand that the website is so important in the whole scheme of the sales process, and how it works. And it was just like, we've got to get Stephen on, because to hear it from me is one thing. I'm trying to sell everything to everybody, right? To hear it from you is just, it's just the best. And I really, really appreciate you being on, and it's just terrific. So
yeah,
thank
no
you
problem.
so much, Stephen.
Yeah, I enjoyed it.
Well, great. And you know, when I come and see you, dinner's on me.
Well, actually, I'm waiting to come and see you.
Hey, come on. You know you're welcome. You know, that'd be great. Well, Stephen, thank you so much again for being on, and I'll talk to you soon, okay?
All right, sounds good. Thanks, Jonathan.
Okay, sure. So, everybody, we really appreciate Stephen being on, and I just want to throw this out there because I'm very proud of our web design team. And what would it be without a little bit of testimonials? We really appreciate when we get your guys' feedback, and we we used to not even say that. I don't know why. It's like, we don't really go out there and publish this stuff out there. But, we have a great team. I will talk them up like crazy. I think that the web design team, they are just really on top of their game. So, when you look at some of these testimonials, I mean, these were literally cut and paste from the emails that we got. But, our job, especially with the website, it's such a personal thing. And if we do it right, and 99% of the times we're doing it right because of our communication with the client, it will come out with just a fantastic result. These are just a few of the testimonials that we popped up there with a kind of a quick picture of the site that we have the capability of doing and what we've done. Rob and Roy are there for you to reach out to, and don't hesitate. If you're brand new and you've never done a web design project before, don't hesitate to do it. We'll walk you through the entire process. We will help you with everything. So don't worry about that. Here I want to show, there was a question, by the way, do we have examples and things like that? Absolutely. Just get on the phone with your marketing consultant at the office, and they'll show you to make sure that you've got access to Marketing Helper. We can white label that entire site, so whenever they're on your site, you can show a portfolio, and you can click on there, and it stays on your site, and it shows all of our web design templates. Now, we are always coming up with our own templates. These are some that are upcoming right now, and remember, the thing is, when you look at web design, you've got to look at it like, you've got to look at the structure of the site. The images don't matter. The colors don't matter. The text, all of that doesn't matter because we can adapt the template for you. But looking, this is one that we brought up for automotive. But imagine you could use any of these for any type of product or anything that you're looking to sell. These are just, I want to show you just quickly. I'll go through these. I don't want to spend a lot of time because you can get access to these through eDasher to come and look at them. But you'll basically, here's a travel website that we're doing. It's it's actually very visual. This one, I like this one. It's very clean. It's got the call to action right there at the top. I really like this template, which is really cool. Images are everything. We're trying to work harder and harder to get really great images. We do have access to everything. You don't have to have membership in Big Stock or Shutterstock or any of those out there. We are a member of all of them. We will find the images that you need and throw them at you or let you do the research. We've already bought and paid for the memberships. So remember, these images, you're not having to pay for them. We already have. And people don't talk about that too much because if you design web with other companies, sometimes they're like, okay, well, you need to find the images. And we handle all of that. We pay for them, okay? So depending on what they are, we supply. If there's something particular you want, maybe you need to pay for it if we don't have access to it. But it is included in our design. So we went through Q&A. I apologize for this slide. Let's see. There was one question that I had. I'm sorry, you see my mouse moving around. It's because I'm looking to look for these questions. There was a question about continuity of business because we all, for those of you who didn't know what happens in this ride, Paul had a catastrophic motorcycle accident, and it really, changed the future of the company. And I want to let you know that Virtual Group, we really have empowered our managers and our leadership to make sure that if something ever happens, God bless, knock on wood, to me or some of our top at the organization, that they can continue on. That's not going to be a problem. We've got some of our managers majority of the managers we have been with the company for 5-6 years. The teams are strong. They know their teams. They've been in the industry. They've been with their organization. They know how things work. That's not going to be an issue. Okay, we learned a lot from what happened with Endless Rise, and we want to make sure that you guys are relying on us as a big partner, a trusted partner to fulfill your services. I want to let you know we're not going to fail you at that. You know, we've got 2 shifts running. We're open 24 hours a day, 5 days a week. Soon, by the end of this month, we will have 24/7 support, so that if you do have an emergency, we will be there to answer your call or your messages on the weekends as well. We have come to the need where we need to do that. And it's been pointed out, we've already made the moves. We should be releasing that soon. But by the end of the month, we'll be 24/7 with emergency access as well. So let's see here. Any other questions? Do you have any? Do you have off-location servers? Andreas was asking. You know, all of our servers, we use major providers. Okay. Well, we use Amazon AWS. We also use other companies such as Rackspace, HostGator on the professional level. So it is cloud, hosted. The site, we're not hosting in Manila. We have contracted with the top. Do you trust Amazon? I mean, the CIA does, the U.S. government does, and the majority of people do. If you do trust Amazon or some of the others like Rackspace or HostGator, we use them all. Depending on the project and the development. We really appreciate. Let's see here. Are you guys hearing me with the sound? I apologize. Cap is asking about the sound. I don't know if it's on my end or not. And Brian, yes, 24/7 will be great. I think that we definitely learned that those extra 2 days where things can happen, we definitely need to be on. So, okay, one of the things we have come to now is, let's talk about promotions, and this is good because it's timely, because we're going to be talking about web design, okay? So we've got a couple of things here. One thing that we're doing is anything we do with a web design project, we're offering the quarterly SEO as a combo, and this gets you 50% off on the month 1 of your SEO project once the design project is finished. Okay, so once you finish the design project, you basically have 30 days to get them paid for their month 1 of SEO. Whatever it is, we're going to discount that month 1 at 50% off. This promo will last until the end of July. So don't hesitate to call us up and get on it, because you can either pass that savings along to the client, to grab them in to show that not only can you do the website, but you're giving them a discount because you're taking care of the marketing as well. But if you don't pass it along, that's okay. Put it in your pocket. We just want to work with you. We do now fully have. Stephen is one of our top web design partners, and he was in the beta for the web design project management done for you. And let me explain what that means. That means that once you make the deal with the client, that you can be as involved as little as you want or as much as you want. But you can hand it over to us. Our staff, which is very knowledgeable, we've got some of the best project managers in the company working in the web design, which we get a lot of compliments on them because they work with the sales partners so much. But we will communicate with your client. Okay, they can come into the back end. They see where we are on the build. We can ask them questions. The sales partner, you can always come in. You can see all the communications. It's really a great service. And for $199, what is it? $199? I think that's right. Yeah, on my own screen here. That covers the entire project. So if it's a custom build that may take a long time, in the amount of hours that we put into it. We said, look, we're not going to charge hourly because it's impossible to do. We're just going to do this as $199, and we'll take it over. Okay, if that takes us 40 hours, 100 hours, whatever it may be in working with your client, it's a flat $199. Okay, so unless you can hire your own project manager on that project for $199, I think this is the best deal ever. Okay, when it comes to managing the project. This has really worked out for the beta. We've been running the beta for, I don't know, 6 months, just to see how it worked, and if people were using the project management done for you. It's been a hit, and we want to offer that to everybody at this point. The Spring of Success, this ends June 24th. This is coming up. We have the discounts on the products if you take 1, 2, or 3. It's for any campaign over $125. It's just a little extra spiff there for you. We do have the brand establisher and brand booster. If they already have a website, this is what is a great product. The brand establisher plus the brand booster with the distribution of all the products, and you can go into eDasher and get a good description of what a brand establisher is, what a brand booster is. But for $4.99, this is a steal. Okay, if they don't need a website, they need their entire brand established online. All the properties that are out there done professionally. The brand booster includes videos and content to be placed on their site. It's a great jump starter to get you going. Even that first month you go in, maybe it's $1,000 that you offer that for, and then you can use that to springboard into the services with SEO or social media. So don't discount that. The May promos, if you will, or May promos, it should be June. Sorry about that. Old slide I stuck in here. There's the link, Judy. If you don't mind putting that in the chat box. Now, we've talked about the VIP websites enough. We've been running a promo for the VIP websites, the partner sites, for a little over, I think we started, so it's about a little over a month. We're going to close this offer out. So if you're interested and you've been looking at the VIP websites that are out there, we will be discontinuing the promo pricing and the special premium package that we put out there. June 17th, midnight, that's it. We're closing it, okay? So, what I don't want to do is someone come in on the 18th, 19th, 20th and say, hey, can I still get it? You know what? We're not going to do it, okay? We've got to shut it down. The prices are going to go up on the remaining themes. I'm not trying to pressure you into it. The thing is, we just don't want to. We've got a lot of response on this promo, and we have a lot of partners that are taking advantage of it. We just want to shut it down past June 17th. You're asking what that is. Basically, it's we can go and look at the templates that we have, but what we do is we put together a professional VIP sales partner website for you. We have the standard. If you just want the website, it's $4.99. If you want the premium package, which is $9.99, and we do have a payment plan, the premium is awesome. It includes the website. It includes the e-commerce package or shopping cart, so you can put all of your products into the shopping cart where they can order online. Even after you've done the consulting with them, you can always say, hey, when you've made your decision, come on into my website. You can just order it if you like, or call me back. But we have the ability to do that. It's also a great calling card to show people what you can do with their site if they need a shopping cart. We have email marketing automation set up for you, and this the plan 2. And what this is it brings a call to action on your site. It gets their name and their email address, and we put this together for you. We install it on the site, and we give you 5. We give you the autoresponder. Thank you for signing up, and then we give you a 5 email drip campaign included. That's written by us, which, by the way, you can edit. You can, we're going to install everything for you, and you can go in and make it your own if you want to change up how it's written, which I suggest you do. Always make it your own. It also includes that monthly newsletter that you're always promising you're going to write and send out to your clients. We've launched the monthly newsletter templates. We do all the research during the month up until the 25th of the month on what's happening with online marketing today. We put it into a newsletter form which informs your clients. It establishes you as an expert, and it also gives you the ability to put in your own personal message. You can make it your own. We get it done for you by the 25th. You have 5 days to get it out there, make changes with it, post it on your site, email it out to your list. But for those of you saying, you know, I always need to do a monthly newsletter because you want to keep in touch with your people, have you done it this month? If you haven't, this is included. We include 3 months of that in the deal. Also, pro membership. If you're already a pro member, we're going to extend your pro membership for 3 months. If you are not a pro member, this is a chance for you to have that for 3 months, which I think you'll love it. Our training series that we're doing right now, I think that last week's training was unbelievable. We found something out. We put it in front of just our pro members first because we want them to be, they're those guys who are serious, that are with our company, and they take advantage of all the tools and all of our private trainings. And I think that last week's webinar probably opened up a whole new, a whole new channel of leads, and people were so excited. I was so excited. By the time I got off the webinar, I couldn't even function. So join a pro membership. This also includes 3 months of website maintenance. We talked about this with Stephen on the line. You get your website, you've got 3 months of work for us to do to change this. Maybe you add pages, you send us content you want to do. Whatever it is, we're going to be able to do it with the hours that you have on your website maintenance program. So that's also included. You put all that together. If you were to buy it on the web design portal that we have, it would run you about $2,100. We've discounted down to $999. One of the things, obviously, we're not trying to make $1 million on you guys. We want to put it out there so you invest in yourself. We'll do the work. If you see what time goes into building the site and installing this stuff, there is no way that you could match that for $1,000 out there. Unless you just do it yourself. And is your time and those hours that you should be selling, is it worth more than $1,000? And we're even willing to break it up in these monthly payments to make it work for you. Remember, if you're a pro member, you do get the discounts. It's $100 less. Remember, pro membership is only $119 a month, and we are always doing something for our pro members. We've sent out $100 vouchers to our pro members. We do the trainings. We give discounts on different products. We want the pro membership, not for to make a cup of coffee on that is not really what we're interested in. By being a pro member, it's saying, hey, I'm in all the way. I want to be part of everything you guys are doing, and it's a two-way street. We appreciate all of our pro members. If you have an existing VIP website and you just want to upgrade the design to one of the templates, just let us know. That's only $3.99. We have all new content that's coming out. I had a bunch of come back from the editor today. We're almost finished with that. It's got to go through final approval, and then we'll be able to update your website with just 2016 relevant content, and we do all the uploading ourselves for you for only $249. Now, of course, if you're a pro member, we take off another $50 off either of those, so that's always good. If you want to see the websites that we have left, please go to the link here. Judy, again, if you don't mind putting this link into the chat box so people can look at those sites. And you can actually order this online, okay? So you can go through and click through and buy it online. If you are, or just call us, get on the phone, call Rob and Roy, reserve, listen, there's a certain template that's really going fast and it's close to being sold out. I'll let you guys decide which one you like the best of the 3 that are up there. But once they're, like I told you from the very beginning, We're only selling a certain number of these, and then we're retiring the template so that there's not the same template out there, you know, for a lot of people. So take action to make sure that you reserve the template that you like the most before the deadline. Now, if you do anything and you want to do it, maybe you don't have the money right now. And I get it. I want you to go out and make sales, and you make a sale and you use that money to pay for invest in your business. I'll help you with it. It's not a problem. Just show some action. Call us. Even if you gave us a $100 deposit to reserve the template, something like that, just showing that, hey, I'm serious. I just can't do it this month by the deadline, but I do want to reserve and put my name on one of the templates so they're not retired and you miss out. We'll work with you. That's not a problem, okay? We have the email marketing. This is a little bit talking about how the email marketing automation sets up. This has been a terrific program for those of you who didn't take the time to install an autoresponder on your website. Remember, we're talking about that call to action. Getting in there, you're driving traffic to your site and they get in. Okay, what next? You want to get their email address. What happens then? Have you written the autoresponder? Do you have a drip campaign of 5 at least? Okay, if you don't, let us jumpstart you. It's reasonably priced. I mean, it's you know, the plan 2 is $239, and if you're a pro member, it's $159, right? It's a no-brainer. Get on it, install it. Either that. If you don't have it, go write it today. Do it this weekend. Okay? Get this on your site. If you want to save the $239, then do it yourself. Okay? But I encourage you to take action today. Make that list. Okay? Get it done. This is the monthly newsletter content template add-on. You can go to the web on eDasher and see how this works. We do discount it if you do the annual program. Otherwise, it's around $100 a month. Try it for a month. See if you like it, and just keep renewing. Okay? I think you will. $100 to do all the research that we're doing. It's a no-brainer. It's your time, guys. It's your time. So there's the link for the email marketing automation. Judy, you'll throw that in there for you guys to look at. You know, you guys make these webinars possible. You're here. You know, to see the names that are always on here and the new ones. I didn't call you out on this webinar, but I usually do. We appreciate your attendance. The recordings will be sent out, and if you ever miss it, you know, you can go in to our channel on YouTube or on the website and go back through. These are golden. You know, Stephen, thank you so much for spending this time with us. I know that every time that we have a sales partner on, that you guys pick up something that you can use in your business, even if you don't agree with everything that the approach that sales partner is doing. Would you agree with me that you get something out of every single one of these when we do a meet the partner, or we are you know, interviewing somebody about their business process? So if you like that, can you just give me a shout out real quick, and I'm going to keep bringing people on. Let's see here. All right, I love it. David, thank you. Sandra, Xavier, Tom, Ryan, Stephen, Nadine, Ann, Ed, good to have you. Paul, Kath, Suzette, I can't even name everybody here. Eric, thank you guys so much for being on. Our next VIP webinar will be on June 23rd, and our next pro member webinar is on June 16th. June 16th, we will be continuing the Grow Your Agency theme, with every week is doing something, has a really good training on how to grow your agency. Last week, we revealed a huge move that you could be making right now. If you're not a pro member, I think that webinar would pay for it. You know, if you were on the last week's pro membership, could you just give me a shout real quick? Oh, there we go. All right. Okay, so I want to just ask, did everyone go through the process? Did everyone get registered for that deal? I want to make sure that everyone took action, because if you're not a pro member, you know what? Join the pro membership. It's $119. Go back in the back and look for the webinar from last week. okay? We're not going to put that on the VIP webinar. The move is too big, okay? We want all of our guys to be very early adopters. This is not something you buy. We're not selling anything to our pro members when we do this. This is something you could do to sign up for a channel to get fed leads every week for web design services, for SEO services, for logo design services, you name it. It is a channel for you to be able to just get solid and interested leads, even that are naming their budget people. But that's an example of what the pro membership brings to you. And so I love you guys. Thank you so much. We will be on the 16th with the next pro member webinar, and we hope to see all of you on that next week. Thank you so much. This is Jonathan Kirkland from Manila. I'm signing off, guys. Thank you.